everyone, my name is Devin, and this is my Week 7 assignment for Ftt106.
Are you there for 200, sir?
For 0 for it all.
For this assignment, I'm going to be showing you how to properly use hacksaws, metal files, sandpaper, and layout tools on metal and wood. I'll also explain the proper techniques on how to use them and why those techniques matter. For this part, I'm using a piece of scrap metal and securing it in the vise so that way it doesn't move around while I'm cutting. I also marked my cut line first so that way I can keep a straight cut during this process. I also start to slow the blade so that way it doesn't jump around in the beginning of the cut. After I get that initial groove started, I'll use longer and smoother strokes to finish the cut. When using a hacksaw, I'll keep one hand on the handle, and if you have a larger hacksaw, you can keep the other towards the front of the blade to help guide it. Now I try to keep the blade straight up and down so that way the cut stays even the whole way through. The hacksaw cuts on the forward stroke, so I apply the pressure while pushing it forward, and when I'm bringing the blade back, I'm using less pressure so that way I don't damage the blade. This is what it looks like afterwards, ready for sanding. For this part, I'm using a metal file on this scrap piece of aluminum. The proper filing is important because firearm parts need to fit correctly, and taking off too much material can ruin the part. I'll keep one hand on the handle and the other near the end of the file to help control it. The file cuts on the forward stroke as well, so that's where I'm going to be applying my pressure. On the return stroke, I'm either going to lift the file slightly or I'm just going to loosen up that pressure. I try to keep the file flat and steady during this process because rocking it can make the surface uneven. As I file, little pieces of metal will get stuck in the teeth of the file. This is why I use a file card to keep the file clean. Keeping the file clean helps it cut better and last longer. If you have chalk, you can also put that onto your blade to stop that metal buildup. Now here's what this piece of metal looks like after filing. You can still see some rough edges and some burrs that are going to need to be removed during the sanding process. Now for this part, I'm sanding this metal all the way to a 800 grit finish. Right now you can still see scratches and rough spots within that metal from the filing process. Now I'm starting this process with some 80 grit sandpaper. And this is going to remove all those beginning rough spots. I'm starting with 80 grit sandpaper to remove the deeper scratches, and after that I'll move on to 120 grit. After 120 grit I'll move to 240, then 400, 600, and then 800. Now the reasons that we move through different grits is because each grit removes the scratches left by the one before it. Before moving to a finer grit, I check the surface to make sure that most of the deeper scratches are gone and that I have a smooth and even finish. I also change sanding directions a little bit between grits so I can tell which scratches are new and which ones are still old. This helps ensure that even finish. Now after the 800 grit, here's the final finish. Prepped and ready to go on to polishing. Now for this part, I'm laying out the design on this piece of aluminum that we got for this class. First, I marked the straight edge, and then the angled edge, and then the curved edge. Now I'm using my digital calipers to make my layout lines. Now I'm marking the hole locations. This project includes one hole for a number 45-bit, 3 holes for a 31-bit, and 1 hole for a 28-bit, and 1 hole for a number 3-bit. After marking these holes, I'm going to use a center punch so that way the drill bit has a starting point so it doesn't slide around during the drilling process. If I were to actually build this project and take it to its completion, I would cut the straight edge first with a hacksaw. Then I would use a file to clean up the angled and curved edges. For the holes, I would use a drill press if I had one available, because it helps keep the holes straight and accurate. Now the order of operations is important. I would do the layout first, then drill the holes, rough cut the shape, and then file everything down to the final size. I then would smooth and continue to finish the product with sanding. If you skip these steps or do them out of order, your measurements can end up wrong or your part can come out uneven. For finishing, I would use files and sandpaper, just like I showed earlier, to smooth everything down and make the project look cleaner and more professional. Now that finishes my demonstration. I showed proper hacksaw use, filing techniques, sanding, and project layouts on an aluminum block. These skills are important because metalworking takes patience, accuracy, and good technique if you want to stay accurate. With that, thank you for watching.